Nagkaroon ka din ba ng hair loss sa low carb? You can avoid this one if you avoid these common pitfalls or mistakes. My name is Coach Linino, and of course, balik naman tayo dito sa live natin every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Pag-uusapan po natin yung mga causes at saka yung mga practical tips that you can apply. Hello po sa mga live viewers natin. Where are you tuning from? Kamusta po yung weather natin dyan? Naku, summer na nga. Yung temperature, you can sense it. And that is why, make sure yung liquids po natin should be high. Yung electrolytes po natin are replenished. Kasi of course, babagsak po yung liquids natin if mainit po yung panahon. Hope all is well with you. Let me know po from the comment section below saan po kayo tune in, or maybe what's your last meal, so that we can have this discussion. Later on, we'll have our Q&A questions, concerns, and maybe clarifications about low carb and muscle gaining in low carb. Let me know sa comment section below natin. And pag-usapan natin tonight again yung hair loss sa low carb. You can avoid this one if you avoid these common mistakes. But before that, I'd like to say hi muna sa mga wonderful viewers natin. Hello to you, Ma'am Mary Mercy Valencia. Kamusta po tayo, ma'am? Of course, we have here Ma'am Pia Tulyot Buena. Good evening to you, ma'am. We have here Ma'am Betty Casilak. Good evening to you, ma'am. We also have here Ma'am Rose Puzon Ayon from watching from Australia. Kamusta yung weather natin dyan, Ma'am Rose? Okay. Ayun. We have here Ma'am Marietta Eleuterio. Good evening to you, ma'am. We also have here shout out kay Ma'am Faith Tam. Of course, one of my amazing students na nasa Qatar ngayon. Ma'am Lina Dalida is always present and always working out. Ma'am MJ is also watching from Israel. Kamusta, ma'am? Yung weather natin dyan. Shalom to you. Ma'am Teresa Di Pamilo. Good evening to you, ma'am. Thank you for tuning in as always. Of course, sa mga active natin na moderators and coaches dito sa group, we have Madam Coach Regina. Kamusta po tayo, Madam? We have here Ma'am Sweet Tooth. Kanina uh, call kami ni Ma'am Sweet. Nag-assess po tayo sa need niya, and hopefully she can have these results through one-on-one coaching. All the best to you, Ma'am Sweet. Of course, we have you, Ma'am Blassie Fernandez. Good evening to you, ma'am. Also have here Ma'am Liza Clautario. Ay, Coach, ano po yung dinner natin, ma'am? Ano po yung kinain natin? Last dinner natin, ma'am. We have here Perlita watching from San Jose City, Nueva Ecija. Perlita Bautista, one of my amazing students din, consistent din sa workout into muscle gain. Ma'am Rhea de la Peña. Kamusta po tayo, ma'am? Ma'am Vivienne Milanes, kamusta po tayong lahat? And of course, we have here Ma'am Miley Manuel. There you have it. Now, when we talk about hair loss, it's very important that you have to know the cause, the root cause. Kasi it's not wise na you go for treatment without looking at the root cause. Marami pong causes when it comes sa hair loss. But tonight, we'll talk specifically in the low carb community. Kasi this is a common issue. Do you agree with this? If you're experiencing hair loss, you have to know these mistakes. But if you are not yet experiencing this, of course, tune in, because these tips that I'm about to share to you will definitely help you. So first, yung hair loss, one of the terms used when it comes to hair loss is alopecia. So that's the other term for that. So the thing that we have to discuss first is, first here we have genetics. Kasi iba-iba po yung uh, yung habits. Iba-iba din po yung bloodline. And of course, yung namana sa atin na from our parents. Of course, yung baldness, ito yung equivalent ng hair loss sa mga lalaki, baldness, di ba? Yung sa babae naman tawag doon is hair loss. And that's why very important to know if this is a common incident sa family nyo. But I believe, even though it's a common thing maybe in your family, I always believe that you can always reverse it. We have scientific evidences that even though kunwari yung family mo is maybe prone sa hypertension or maybe diabetes, you can always reverse that through lifestyle transformation. And I believe that you can reverse this if you have concern with hair loss. Number two is we have here hormonal changes sa mga babae, especially if you are into pregnancy at saka if, of course, menopausal, may mga conditions po tayo na will affect yung hair loss natin. Of course, PCOS is also a hormonal concern, and this can cause hair loss as well. So you have to know yung mga hormonal changes. It is not your ultimate na destination, it's just a stage. And if stage lang po siya, temporary lang po iyon. You can always reverse this one. That's number two, hormonal changes. Number three is, I think, the most common when it comes to hair loss. We have nutritional deficiency. Kulang po sa specific nutrients. Poor nutrition. When we talk about hair loss, it's common that you have to look at your nutrients, your micronutrients, especially. We have to look at your zinc. We also have to look at your biotin, also iron and protein. Protein, I think I like to emphasize this. Kasi there are low carb practitioners that they focus only on other macronutrients, especially lowering down their carbs, at saka yung fat nila mataas, and of course, compromising their protein. Protein is very important for hair formation. Let me explain why. Yung hair po natin, of course, is composed of usually building blocks of life, amino acids. And you can get that when you eat protein. So, yung protein po, building blocks of life, di ba, from amino acid. What will happen if yung main ingredient for hair formation wala, kulang? Of course, wala siyang ingredients, wala siyang materials. There's nothing to build upon. That is why if you're into low carb, non-negotiable po yung protein. Regardless of your goal, if you're into fat loss, maybe you are into muscle gain, very important po that you have to prioritize your protein because that's the source. So protein is number one. We have zinc, iron, at saka biotin. Collagen is also another thing. So prioritize these five things. You have to look at your current intake. Okay, so of course, if you go for the solution, you have to prioritize yung green leafy vegetables. We have nuts, fish, at saka yung meat especially. Kasi when you compare yung protein content ng meat sa vegetables, compare mo yung protein content nila, superior talaga yung sa meat. That's why you have to look, kamusta yung protein mo? Kamusta yung protein servings mo? So, if hair loss ka, you have to check all this nutrients, but especially yung protein mo. That's number three, nutritional deficiencies. Of course, number four, you have to look at your medical conditions. Ano-ano po yung mga senyales? Of course, hormonal problems kanina, concerns na na-mention natin kanina. Also, prone din yung may mga thyroid problems. So, you have to look into this. Autoimmune diseases. So, alopecia areata is also a thing. So, medyo technical po siya. Pero, it is the body's response. Pero, parang ano siya, autoimmune means parang yung own system mo medyo nag-attack siya. So that's the simplest term that I can give. Scalp infection is another thing. We also have chronic illnesses that can cause hair loss. So you have to know, ano po yung mga medical conditions nyo. Past history, you have to look into that. Of course, yung solution natin for this is always good to go for healthcare provider. If you have the means, go for it. There are treatments right now, po, no, when it comes to repair ng hair natin. We have here RP, yung tinatawag natin na platelet-rich plasma. So you have to look into that, especially if you have the means. We also have yung tinatawag na laser therapy. We also have hair plantation, yung hair transplant na tinatawag if appropriate po sa inyo. Again, you have to look and ask for experts advice regarding this kasi iba-iba po yung solusyon dito. I'm not an expert on that field. You have to go for the practical means and realistic means when it comes to your hair loss problems. I have a friend na yung ah, hair niya, makikita mo na yan, no? Yung scalp niya. And it bothers him. Yung confidence niya, of course, every time merong mga urgent meetings, he has to fix his hair para tago yung scalp niya. For others, it's not a problem, but for him, it is a concern. And not only that, it won't really affect yung tinatawag natin na self-esteem. I appreciate you na may mga tao na even though na yung physical, may mga physical concerns sila, they won't allow it to affect their confidence, especially if it is being needed. But of course, if possible na you can improve on this or you can avoid this, much better. Tama ho, di ba? So that's it. Of course, healthcare provider, that's the most common and practical thing. You have to look if you have medical conditions. Number five, it's also a concern. Kasi hairstyling practices at saka heat damage. Alam niyo ba, when I was younger, I was a fan of putting yung hairstyle gel. Alam niyo bang hairstyle gel, no? Naalala ko, yung common that time is yung Michael gel na alala niyo yung Michael gel, kaway-kaway diyan sa mga naglalagay ng gel. Of course, right now, wax na. I can recall na during those times na consistent yung paglagay ko ng gel at saka yung wax, grabe yung dryness ng buhok ko. It's super dry. And of course, at the same time, grabe yung dandruff ko. And I think it's one of the reasons why na as early as teenagers, ako noon na mga 13, 14, na experience ko yun because of my hairstyling practices at saka yung heat damage kasi always exposed sa sun. And of course, not just sa skin, nadadamage po yung skin natin, of course, of if overexposed sa sun. Not just your skin, but also your hair at saka yung scalp nyo. So you have to look at your practice. Now, may mga harsh practices sa buhok that you have to minimize and avoid. Meron po mga braids at saka yung ponytails. If overused po ito, it can damage your hair. Of course, excessive heat styling at saka yung mga chemical treatments. Coloring at saka perming. So for women, it's very common. No? So of course, from time to time, if you have events, I think that's okay. But if you do it often, I think that's not good for your hair. Anything that is excess at saka sobra at saka chemical are not always 100%, not always good to our health. So you have to avoid this one. And of course, make sure nyo lang na you brush your hair gently. One of my health teachers during college, tinuro niya po sa akin na when you have your shampoo or conditioner, don't place it directly sa scalp mo. Kasi of course, chemicals po siya. So, yung tinuro niya sa amin, you have to place that one sa, ano mo nyo muna, tunawin nyo muna sa tubig. Okay, so you place it maybe sa tabo. You have to make it bula muna yung shampoo. O, tagay mo dito, hindi directly daw. So that can also help us when it comes to hair protection. Of course, when it comes to heat, you have to minimize din yung sun exposure if possible. Maglagay po kayo ng cap or maybe you can apply yung always carry yung umbrella ninyo, especially nowadays, no, summer na po. So, as much as possible, carry it para po mas safe po tayo. So, that's number 5, hairstyling practices at saka heat damage. Pang-anim, and I think this is very common nowadays, emotional at saka physical stress. I remember I asked my friend who is close to me na merong concern sa hair loss niya. So, anong nangyari that time, I checked her protein, very okay. Yung nutrients niya, very okay. Up until na-share niya na very stressed po siya sa work at saka sa relationship niya. Kasi kakabreak niya lang po. So, that's why I asked her, how does she cope with stress? Sabi niya, hindi siya nakukope sa stress. She lets the stress ruin her life. So, that could be a trigger as well. High level of stress. Physical man yan, mental, emotional man yan, always disrupt yung normal growth ng hair natin. So may growth cycle 'di ba yung hair natin. So it can disrupt or delay yung pagtubo po ng hair natin. So always make sure na you can manage stress. There's some form of healthy stress. And if we let it ruin our life, especially if it's prolonged, it's not helpful at all with our hair, not just with our hair actually, but also with our overall health. So, exercise is one. Walking outside under the sun can help early in the morning para fresh pa. Also, you may want to go for lifting weights, go for a talk, offline friends. Go for a coffee or tea with your friend. Tapos, maybe that's your outlet then when it comes to dealing with stress. So that's it, emotional at saka physical stress. And I think I would say when it comes to the last solution, it's not here on my list, but I think we have to be patient then. Kasi minsan, if we are in a hurry, haste makes waste. I have a friend kasi na he's so uh, self-aware at saka insecure when it comes to his hair kasi kitang-kita na yung scalp niya. And I understand because of course it uh, in a way affects him emotionally, maybe socially. But I think yung hindi lang maganda nangyari doon, he's very stressed about it. And at the same time, yung uh, isa sa mga savings niya, nagasto niya ng malaki doon sa hair procedure na hindi naman pala long term. So parang temporary lang po. So I think yes, it can help him temporarily, but I would go for a permanent remedy or solution. So if you can go for that, okay. But I think it's not automatic. It takes time. That's why be patient. You apply all of this so that you know what's the cause, what's the root cause, and apply procedure that, of course, applies for your own life. Kasi of course, iba-iba po tayo. What's applicable for you may not be applicable for me. So those are the things. Just a quick review lang. Number 6, we'll talk about emotional at saka physical stress, hairstyling practices at saka heat damage. We also talk about medical conditions, nutritional deficiencies. That's number 3, hormonal changes at saka genetics. These are the causes, and I talk about the solutions then, or practical tips to deal with this. Hello again sa mga wonderful viewers natin. Kamusta po yung gabi natin? Kamusta po yung weather natin dyan? Hello to you. We have here Rose Puzon. Ayos lang po. Tamos na po ang summer. Hindi po malamig ang panahon. Yes, I think si Ma'am Rose is watching right now from Australia. That is why iba po yung panahon natin dyan. Ingat po natin, Ma'am. Betty Kasilak, yung dinner niya, chicken adobong puti. Wow, sarap niyan. Good evening to you, Ma'am Maridol Lising. Kamusta po yung meals natin, Ma'am? Sabi ito ni Ma'am Liza Clautario, at simple lang po, 3 balot at saka 1 whole avocado with plain. Wow, sarap. Kompleto, may protein, may fat at saka may dessert pa. Oh. Watching from Iloilo si Ma'am Janet Defensor. Kamusta da, Ma'am, ang aton tiempo? Ilongga si Ma'am Janet. Oh. Hello. Sir Toffee is one of our amazing students din. Kakabili niya lang ng Worth the Grind shirt at saka meron siyang ebook from us. So all the best to you, Sir Toff. Let's process it na. Let me know lang once you have it na. Ma'am Evelyn Divina. Kamusta po tayo, Ma'am Ev? Ganda talaga ng smiley, Ma'am Ev, always. So, Sir Mario is also watching here from Taguig. Sabi ito ni Ma'am Maribel, I experienced hair loss on my first 3 months of my LC. I am sure, Ma'am Maribel, you have found a way to deal with this as well, no? Ma'am Gemma Nacionales, good evening to you, Ma'am. Kamusta po yung pagkain natin siya? Elizabeth Escobar, of course, always. Hello to you, Ma'am. Kamusta po yung mga meals natin dyan? Ma'am Evelyn Pabro, hello, hello. Kaway-kaway to you, Ma'am. Also, we have here Ma'am Ida Delao. Kamusta po tayo, Ma'am? One of the students na nag-avail, I think, ng ebook. Before I proceed, no? Speaking pala of ebook, for some of you, you don't have the access to our ebooks yet, And let me show this to you. We have our amazing team, Work Again coaches, and with other coaches na nandito din. We are offering this one. If you are 40s and above, you can have the guide for your workout videos. It includes workout plan plus video guides. That's 399. And if you avail of nutrition plan, meal guide, eating out guides plus recipes, that's 399. But if you avail all of them, you can avail this all in. Not 798 but 499 if you want to avail all of this. Message nyo po ako sa page ko. This is my page, Coach Lininho on Facebook. So if you're not following this one, it could help you if you follow para you are updated every time we have our live, especially if on the spot siya. So, uh, may mga, okay, sabi dito ni ma'am, okay, ito, alright, I think na yes, yeah, na-summarize ni Coach Regina yung mga causes. So that's good, Coach Regina. For others no, who have just watched, no, you may want to review the video para po we are all informed about our topic. Ma'am Notcha Ismael is watching from YouTube. Kamusta po tayo, ma'am? Sabi dito ni Madam Regina, yes, emotional at saka physical stress, it can delay the growth of our health and be patient. That's a good way to sum up. Nilma Rebano, mainit po dyan sa inyo. Always make sure yung electrolytes natin at saka yung tubig natin, of course, no, replenish siya. Of course, we have here, Ma'am Fatima. Kamusta ang weather natin dyan, Fatima? I hope all is well. One of my amazing students who is a modern senior working out at the same time prioritizing her protein. Malangab watching from Iloilo ni si Ma'am. Wow, can see veggies, so and is that, wow, daming choices, galing. Sabi dito ni Ma'am Gemma, 5 hard-boiled eggs. Wow, that's really good, ma'am. Especially if we're talking about practicality. Yung boiled eggs po is very, very practical. 6 grams po, yung medium-sized egg, no? It can give you 6 grams of protein. So imagine that. So very practical yung dinner ni Ma'am Gemma Nacionales. There you have it. Again, for our viewers, if you don't want to do it your own, if you're confused on what to do, and if you don't want to go through your trial and error, you may want to consider one-on-one coaching. So our team is ready to help you with your workout plan, nutrition plan, meal plan, workout guides, and accountability so that you don't need to be confused of all the information that we have everywhere. So message me to book an assessment call so that we know yung specific need at saka specific goal po ninyo. Again, my name is Coach Lininho. Kita po tayo again sa live natin at 7 p.m. this Thursday. All the best po sa inyo. Again, life is fun and simpler when you are stronger. God bless you po. At saka, of course, enjoy the rest of the day and your evening. Bye-bye.